Hi everyone, my name is Siamak and this is your Geosynthetics podcast. This episode of my podcast is with a very special guest. I have Pascal Saunier from Vancouver, as you can see in his background picture. So
Hello.
it is 10 o'clock in the morning my time and it's almost late afternoon. Pascal, in your time?
Yeah, that's correct. It's 5 p.m. here, but yesterday for you.
Perfect. And a very nice view of your hometown, Vancouver, behind you in the background. Very nice picture. So, Pascal, I want to start with my normal podcast question about your career. So, you have spent many years in the geosynthetics industry, but you have always, been working with different industries as well. I want you to just explain briefly to us a little bit about your career. Where did you start and how did you end up in geosynthetics industry?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you for your invitation, Siamak. It's always a great pleasure to chat with you. And so I started as an engineer. I graduated from an engineering school in France, which is called ESTIN, École Supérieure des Sciences et Technologies de l'Ingénieur in Nancy. And you know that I'm not too sure about Australia, but in France at that time we were doing his military service for a young guy was a mandatory. So and it's supposed to be 1 year, so it's over now. But at the time I had to do that, and so I applied as a volunteer for the Airways Army in France, and I did that in Réunion Island. And Réunion Island is a very small island located in the Indian Ocean, not so far from Australia actually.
Yeah.
Maybe probably 5 hours flying distance from Perth. And so I did that for 1 year and a half, and then I started to work as a manager of a landfill for for Veolia waste management branch.
Yep.
And I had in charge a landfill and some waste collections as well. And it's funny because I remember it was probably I started to work there after 2 or 3 years, and I wanted to live elsewhere, and especially in Canada. Well, actually, I was hesitating between Canada and Australia, and I remember I was talking to my colleague, and I was just shooting on big rolls on the landfill, and it was geomembranes rolls, and the liner was coming from Solmax, actually, Canada.
Okay.
And I was saying to them, hey, you know what? I will go in Canada soon. And actually, 2 or 3 years after, I was in Canada working for Solmax, actually. So it was very, very fun. And so I've been working for Solmax and Texel and Solmers. So that's why at the time they were involved in liquefaction and QA/QC on liners. And then I moved to Texel as a new engineer product development engineer. Mm-hmm. And in 2008, I started Architect Texel. So I would say I'm involved in geosynthetics since Réunion Island, when we were using those type of material for our landfill.
Perfect. And so you've been doing a lot of technical roles, and also you have been involved in the sales management as well. So this is my second question for you, Pascal. If you want to tell us a bit more about the fine line between these two roles, like technical and sales as an engineer. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you find interesting in that? And you've been on both sides, and how do you find that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I would say those two roles, sales and technical, are very different. I would probably say that sales are more linked to human beings, and technical is more, linked to discipline, techniques, science, say. And it's very complicated. It's very difficult to find someone who is able to handle both things. Either you have human behaviors, or you are technical behaviors, but being good at the two of them, it's tough.
Yeah.
So let me explain how I think what needs people to get to be good sales people. When you are talking about sales, you have two types of people. You have the hunters and you have the farmers. So the hunters are the people who are able to, they go in the wild. There is a virgin area, nobody's there, and they have their, their gun, and they are trying to, find new business out from
Yeah.
scratch. And the farmers are more people, who are making the business grow based on an actual business is already in place, and they are making the business grow by having a sales attitude, but it's a bit different. And the thing is that when you are selling something, and when you are trying to be in the sales business, there is no other way. I mean, that's what I think. But there is no other way to make people your friends. You need to create a deep relationship with people, and this will come with confidence, honesty, a personal implication in what you are doing. You need to convince people that you love what you are doing, but you are trying to develop something strong and something great with them, and you need to be honest with that. I mean, eventually, if you are just selling to make money, that won't work. I think you need to have something deeper than that. And so so you have some, human. You need to have like a human approach in that. And at the end of that, you need to deliver. Okay, so and this is where the techniques arrive. So you need to be able to deliver something. So the technical support you will need to be able to deliver product in quality that will meet the specification, or that will meet what you have sold. And the thing of technical things is more a binary system. It's 0, 1. It's pass or it fails. You don't have a very, there is no gray area between that. And this is what is very different from sales. Sales, it's more like, you can arrange things, but techniques is very, very binary system. And so it needs discipline, rigor, technical knowledge, structure of work. And so that's why I think it's very difficult to find someone who is able to do both. And what I think is I'm lucky enough to, we are a team. We are two people basically at Avitex Excel. Me as a sales guy, and I've got a colleague which is a technical director of the company. And I think we are doing great together because I think most of the time it's needed. And if you check on, maybe we can jump into the music of it. Most of the best rock bands you will find, they are duos. There are two guys who are, the guys who take the band. Like if you check the Stones, you will have Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. The Beatles, it's like Lennon and McCartney. So so I would say technical and sales. Probably you need two people to handle that. Yeah, that's what I think. Otherwise, maybe you can find the gem, the very precious guy, which is able to do both, but it's tough. And I can do that. For basically, yeah. I'm more in the sales part than technical part, actually.
I see. Yeah. No, that sounds perfect. And like you said, you have been doing this in many places. Like you have traveled the world in the past few years, and you have done business and technical work internationally. So this is actually my third question for you, Pascal, about doing engineering work, technical or sales internationally. Just generally as an international business unit, business leader, how do you find it? And what do you enjoy most about it? Or maybe you can tell us about some of the challenges that you have faced during that time. And the other question I have is also about, the post-COVID, and you find that, because of the travel restrictions around the world, what do you think will change in that area?
Yeah, so I would say, being a business developer in worldwide is it's great. It's a very great work and job if you like human challenges. It's and especially if you are exploring new areas and virgin areas, it's very, very challenging because you never know what the results will be. You hope that it will work, but it could take a year, it could take 2 years, it could take forever. In some cases it doesn't work, and it's not because you're not good. It's just because you are not there at the good time with the right solution, and it can. That can be super fast, it can be super long, and so it's very difficult to predict what will happen. That being said, this is probably what is actually exciting because you don't know the results. And this is true, but especially if you like, roller coasters, very up down. Um, but overall, I would say there is always something to learn, and there is always something great that will happen, even if you fail. So I would really recommend that type of job. I mean, business development is great. Of course, you need to have a good product, or a product that you trust in, and well. You have to know your product and what you're selling. But basically, it's a great job. That being said, you have downsides and upsides. So downsides, I would say that you are very often far away from home.
Yeah.
So especially if you are traveling worldwide. You always live in hotels, eat in restaurants, so it's not very good for diet. Or you're always between two planes or in an airport, which is bad nowadays because with COVID-19, it's really complicated. It was not fun, but it's really not fun anymore. Yeah. But the good thing on that, it's every day is different. Every day you wake up in a different place, you meet with different people, you learn a lot in people behavior, cultures. You meet a lot of different people, different way of doing things, different way of thinking, and believing in things. So it's very great. I mean, it's a very deep. Every day is a new way of learning something. So it's I mean, I think it's a very, very nice, a good advantage for that. So about post-COVID, what would be different now? I would say it's. I'm not sure that I really know what would happen, but I was thinking about that. And if ever all the airports and the countries and the companies or airways companies will decide to not allow anyone to pass the border, or eventually to use the airlines without having a vaccine passport. So basically, the vaccine will be mandatory, and we will go through that. We would have to go through that to be able to travel. But that being said, if ever some countries decide not to ask for a vaccine, so probably things will be a bit easier, and maybe we will find that finally this virus is not that bad as we would think at the beginning, and so probably things will come back to normal, or back to it was before. That being said, I think that we need to learn some good thing about the situation today. And probably when you get sick, like when you have a seasonal flu or something like that, I think having a good habit with eventually wearing a mask, practicing social distancing, washing your hands is a good habit, I think, and especially when you're traveling in a plane. I mean, I was a bit joking about seeing people wearing a mask in planes before, and probably I will do it now if I'm sick. So we can take good practices and good learnings from that. But honestly, I mean, we'll see. I mean, nowadays traveling is complicated, basically with COVID-19. But I don't think that will last forever, hopefully. But we never know. There is another thing. I mean, I would be curious to see how Sweden will react next year, as soon as the COVID is finished, and probably that will be a country that had a differentiated way of dealing with the virus, and it would be great to see how they are reacting and how they're managing the thing. So.
Exactly. Yeah, 100% agree. Like we've seen around the world, like countries have behaved or reacted differently during COVID. And naturally they will behave or react differently post-COVID. So some countries will open, quicker, easier, with less restrictions, and some countries will have a lot of restrictions still staying until everything is safe to travel.
Yeah, exactly.
No, very, very good. Pascal, as you were talking about the technical and sales, you made an example about like music people, like they're doing duos, and I think you have some interest or passion about music. What do you normally do outside your work? Am I correct? Is music something that you follow, or
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would give you just an example. I was in Edmonton doing a job site visit. When was it? Last Friday. Yeah. And I had to spend some time during the weekend, and just in front of my hotel room, there were a music shop where you can eventually rent some guitar. So I went and rent a guitar and play the guitar during the weekend with friends.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I'm very passionate of music. This is my big hobby. People are fishing, hunting,
Yeah.
bicycling or whatever, hiking, which is great. But on my side, I'm more into music, and so I
Yeah.
play the guitar, I sing, I'm producing music. I produced a jazz opera, which
Okay.
I've been nominated for. Yeah, best jazz album and francophone album of the year 3 years
Okay.
ago. Anyway, it was cool. And my two daughters are great musicians as well. One of them is a jazz singer. So yeah, very cool. And we went on TV actually. So eventually, if people are interested in that, I can send you the link of that TV show. And it was cool. We had 1 million people watching the TV show. So it was funny. Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, yeah, that's right. I've started a distant jazz trio with friends of mine in France, and it's
Mhm.
very nice, and especially with COVID now because we're not able to travel, so we are sharing tracks, music tracks. So one of them is a bass player, the other one is a guitar player. Some of them are singers, So and then we are sharing tracks, and I'm producing the music like that. So we did some recording, and I had an idea with your people who are attending your podcast. Eventually, if
Yeah.
there are some musicians, whatever, if you're a bass player, keyboard player, if you are singing, flute, saxophone, whatever, send me a message if you want to start like to create something like that, like a rock band, pop band, whatever, and that could be fun. I mean, to share some
Yeah.
some recordings and start to build up some yeah something great. That could be fun. So if ever you have people interested, or if you are interested, of course, let me know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's a great idea. I really love the idea, and I think it would be great to see my podcast actually something is being created after the podcast. So I'll definitely share your details when I publish this episode, and yeah, I definitely want
Okay, cool.
any of my audience who are keen to join you in that creating that music. That's perfect.
Yeah, that could be very, very fun. That could be
Yeah,
a different way to connect and to share something with
absolutely.
in,
Yeah,
in this
perfect.
community.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, no, that brings me to my last question, as my other episodes of the podcast. Pascal, I just want
Yep.
to ask a question about your career again, but this time I want to mention one thing, one highlight that in the throughout your career,
Yeah.
look back, you always remember that was maybe a turning point for you. Just tell us what that was and why do you think that is your highlight?
Yeah. Highlights. I'm thinking about highlights. I could probably say, the biggest sales I did, or yeah, the biggest area or the biggest success. But I was thinking about that. I would probably answer with a with a picture, or with a thought. Imagine there is someone who is running since since 10 years, and finally he's achieving and is winning Olympic games in a marathon. A gold
Yeah.
medal. And we are asking him, what is your highlight? And probably we're expecting that will be his highlight, because he did that all his life.
That's right.
And which would be true, but that wouldn't happen if at 1 year old he wouldn't be able to stand up and walk by himself. So
Exactly.
so this was probably his highlight at that
Yeah.
age. And so I would say it's important to check what is important in your life, but I think it would be more important to consider that at every step and at every age we have something very important that can be considered as a step to being a step before another step, and eventually all those steps will lead to success. And that could be my conclusion. I mean, if we have young engineers, or young people who are in this business, and I wouldn't them to be impressed by big sales, like $3 million sales in a benefit or whatever. I would probably prefer that they would discover small highlights they have in their lives since they start, and understand that this will guide them to success for bigger things, and just success is built from small things. So yeah, I would probably conclude saying that highlights is very relative, and this is something you need to. There is a quote I like to mention. That quote, I think it's I don't remember who did that quote, but he says, I never fail. Either I win or I learn.
Yes.
And this is, this is something like that I would like to conclude with.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And yeah, a lot of people I've been interviewing in the past, it's always difficult to find one highlight. And I think you're absolutely correct. It's a combination of or a string of highlights that basically they all make you a success at the end. So
yep.
The journey is important. Is as important.
Exactly. Yeah.
End of the journey.
Yeah, and it's I mean, in every job it's like that, especially in sales. You have a lot of fails for a small amount of wins.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's like that. I mean, it's from fails that you're learning something. So
absolutely. Yeah, very good. Great. Thank you, Pascal. And yeah, I enjoyed this conversation, and I'm sure my audience will enjoy that when we publish this. So thanks for your time, and yeah, we will be in touch in the future, and wish you all the best. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Siamak. Bye.
Thank you.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.